So in this segment, we're going to be talking about UK ports considering legal action after Rees-Mogg delays Brexit control. So a lot of money wasted thanks to young Jacob over here, the Victorian wizard. Not good news, is it? Some of Britain's biggest seaports are considering legal action against the government to recover the cost of building border control posts they fear will never be used. I think they'll quietly receive some money from the government. This was after confirmation that post-Brexit import checks will be delayed for a fourth time. I don't know if what precautions these vets would have taken. Ports, but they could have had contracts set up with vets, etc. To get things checked out. But this is just crazy. There's a lot of inland facilities as well that may never get used, but these were still paid for. So a huge waste of taxpayers' money. If Mogg wanted to do this from the start, why didn't we do so? I thought we took back control. Physical checks on fresh food and plants from the EU were due to begin in July, but have been pushed back to the end of 2023, and I don't think they'll happen because the UK, is moving towards a full digital system on all checks and paperwork at the border with a new strategy published in the autumn. So I think that'll be a full digital system on all checks from any country around the world. The decision not to implement controls means Britain will effectively continue to rely on the EU to monitor food and plant safety. So essentially, we're letting the EU deal with it, and we're going to talk separately about why that's a bad idea in another article. It's to do with certain diseases like African swine flu, amongst other things, that is already in Europe. Food producers said they were being placed at a disadvantage compared with European competitors who would have less red tape to deal with, because voting for Brexit make the lives of UK exporters harder than EU exporters, which is basically what we've done. The British Ports Association, a lobby group for the industry, said it was concerned the expensive border posts subsidised with nearly £200 million from the taxpayer will never be used. So that's £200 million already lost from this stuff. Just on these physical inspections alone, that will never happen, not to mention how much the ports have spent on these things. The group said its members would ask for permission to bulldoze the new buildings if the government confirmed that was the case. And again, bulldozers cost money, clear up costs money. Richard Ballantyne, the BPA's chief executive, said ports had rushed to get infrastructure ready on time. The announcement is a major policy change, meaning the facilities will effectively become white elephants, wasting millions of pounds of public and private funding. Also, the fact that they would have had staff and contracts ready to go for July when the physical inspections were meant to start. Well, what are those people going to do now? Ports had already begun hiring staff in preparation for the additional post-Brexit checks. Meanwhile, the government spent public money building inland border control facilities at sites where there was not enough space for infrastructure next to the quay. I think that means port. While the EU introduced checks on goods arriving from the UK immediately after Brexit, they had everything ready from the jump. The EU were prepared absolutely for this. We are not, and we will never be ready. Checks on meat were due to start on the 1st of July, and on dairy 1st of September. Dairy, what was I thinking? With all remaining goods, including fish and composite foods. So composite foods would be like a sandwich, for example, or a ready meal where it's kind of like multiple things in one, would be subject to checks from the 1st of November. A date for controls on live animals has yet to be agreed. So you can see multiple different layers of checks. Even this year, we're going to be introduced, not all at once. So 1st of July, checks on meat, for example, so that would have been meat that's already been processed, I'm assuming, and on dairy the 1st of September, so that's 2 months after, with all remaining goods including fish and composite foods to be checked from November, which is even later in the year, which is 5 months down the line from July, I think. And then a date for live animals not going to be done at all. During a tour of the Eurotunnel, Folkestone's facilities, Jacob Rees-Mogg conceded money had been spent on the facilities and that may not be needed. And what I would do is, if I was a reporter, I'd ask how much has been spent and why did you spend so much money if you're going to get rid of these? When did you tell the ports you weren't going to do this? Why didn't you prepare for this earlier? I do accept that some money was spent on preparation for the 1st of July, which won't be needed, but the ports will benefit. They'll benefit from not having to do these checks, but you made them waste money. Mogg said the move could save British businesses up to £1 billion in annual costs, even though we're the ones who would have imposed an additional £1 billion in annual costs to them. And that would be just for importing companies. Exporting companies still have to go through the full shebang. Everything now. Rules of origins, customs, SPS, vet checks if applicable for the last two. It's just wild. The operative Eurotunnel, through which a quarter of all trade between the EU and UK passes, welcomed the announcement because there's no space to do these checks. Just like all of the trade experts said, you can't expand the port of Dover. It's a very small port, especially compared to Calais. We would have had to check more certificates, more declarations, and would not have been able to board trucks which didn't have the right paperwork to go with the goods, said John Keefe, Director of Public Affairs, Gatlink. There's no space. They would have to check everything, certificates, declarations. So many things would have to be checked in order to do these physical inspections. It would have took hours at the border. It would have made imports unviable. Jacob Rees-Mogg said that it would have increased the cost of things like cheese, for example. Small quantities of cheese would have gone up by about 70% in price. Crazy stuff. But what more can you say? And moving to a full digitised system exposes the UK more to, had enough of this woman and Johnny Depp, pushes the, could let diseases in, pushes the country to a more dangerous position. And we'll cover this one. This will be the next video I'll probably do. But it's just tragic in it that they said all this stuff, take back control and all this other nonsense, and yet we can't take back control because the UK isn't built like that. We got so used to being a member of the EU, so used to having free trade. We didn't realise that a free trade agreement isn't the same as frictionless trade, and it's about time people understood this. Just because you have an FTA doesn't mean much. You got rid of tariffs and quotas for the most part. There's still customs and other things. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.